Welcome to Impact Makers Radio, helping you to find jargon-free information before choosing a professional to help solve your problems and live the life you love. And here's your host, Stuart Andrew Alexander.
Hi and welcome to another Let's Talk Divorce conversation. And during this segment of the show, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to say that we finally have family law attorney Krista Andrews, founding partner of PartUs. We're going to find out about that in just a moment. And she's calling in all the way from Fargo, North Dakota. Now, Krista, who is considered to be a leader in the area of family law, will be talking to you today about streamlining the divorce process with using software. Now, if you are one of the increasing numbers of people who are out there considering divorce in the Fargo, North Dakota area, it might be just a good idea for you to stop what you're doing and log out of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or anything else you happen to be doing which may cause a distraction, and get ready to take some notes as we listen in to what Krista has to share with us today. So, with that said, let's not keep her waiting any longer. Welcome to the show, Krista.
Good morning, Stuart. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome, my dear. I know that you're very, very busy. So let's just jump feet first in. But before we get into the real heart of our discussion today, it must be said that anything you share with us is not legal advice or legal assistance. It's purely for the purpose of disseminating information. So can you just briefly expand on that in your own words then, please, Krista, so that everybody knows exactly what we're trying to achieve today?
Certainly, as you indicated, it's not legal advice. Everything is state-specific and fact-specific, but I just want to be able to provide additional resources and tools for individuals that are going through the divorce process.
Fantastic. So that said then, Krista, could you just briefly describe the kinds of people who you serve and the various types of situations they find themselves in when they come to you for your help?
Certainly. The clients that I serve range from divorce clients to individuals that are working through custody issues, premarital agreements, adoptions, anything in the family law arena in the North Dakota or Minnesota area in my private practice. But then I also started up a software company that assists clients throughout the United States that are going through a divorce process.
So, Krista, when you think about the people who you work with then, those people that you've just described, what are some of the common misconceptions out there that you come across while you're working with them on a day-to-day basis?
I think the common misconceptions are that a divorce has to be adversarial, drawn out, and contentious and very costly. I think most people come in assuming that that's going to be the case, and I always tell my clients, this doesn't have to be a legally painful process. Emotionally, it may certainly be painful, but it doesn't have to be legally.
So, as a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is family law attorney Krista Andrews, and she's, again, the founding partner of PartUs in Fargo, North Dakota. And she's here today talking about streamlining the divorce process using software. Now, I'm sure she's going to expand a little bit on that for us in a moment. But for those people out there that are listening in right now, Krista, and they are considering their options for divorce, please share a couple of common but unknown pitfalls that they need to be aware of no matter what kind of situation they find themselves in.
Certainly. I think the preparation that clients can put into their case either prior to meeting with their attorney or throughout the process is one of the largest pitfalls. When you have clients, they're so emotionally overwhelmed with what they're going through, and oftentimes they're not as organized with their financials or the paperwork that you need to have in order to go through the process. So if they are better organized and have their information gathered up before they come to meet you, it only makes my job easier, and I'm a better advocate for my client, but it also saves them substantial time and also money if they've gathered a lot of that information prior to meeting with me or throughout the process.
So with that in mind then, Krista, and obviously keeping your client's confidentiality in mind, can you please share an example or even a case study, so to speak, of how you have helped or even how you would go about helping somebody who came to you with those misconceptions or those pitfalls that you just mentioned, and what kind of transformational results you were able to or in general would be able to gain for them?
Certainly. I've had clients that range from an individual who literally came in with a large Tupperware container full of just statements all thrown in there that we ended up having to sort through and organize and input into the software at the time that we had. And we're happy to do that. It just takes more time. And of course, it takes them more of my time, which means money to them. And then the far opposite end of that spectrum is the client who comes in either in an Excel spreadsheet or they have their binders with their information organized, and all the information is pretty cleanly organized for me. So it makes it easier for me to prepare and to do my job for them. But we can eventually pull all that information together and hopefully get still the same results when we tell them what information we need and what else they need to do for their tasks. But again, if the client is more prepared, that's only going to benefit them in us representing them.
So, Krista, when you think again about those people who come to you for your help, and when you think about all of the people who you've helped to, let's say, create that transformation that they were looking for when they initially reached out to you, because essentially that's what you are. You're a transformationalist. You take people from point A to point B. So when you think about those people on a, let's say, on a deep down personal level, what does it actually give you then, Krista? And how does that make you feel?
You know, I can give you this example of a comment that I've heard from a client. When I've met with individuals and I give them some tasks, some defined tasks, gather this information, pull this together for me, and when they have a little bit more direction because they feel so out of control, when they come back or I get an email the next day that says, thank you, I was able to sleep last night, that's what makes me feel like I'm doing what I should be doing for clients, is helping provide them with that guidance. They feel so out of control. And I say it's as though when I go into a doctor and I have an arm that hurts. I say, am I dying? What's happening? And they say, nope, take a Tylenol, do this exercise, come back tomorrow, then I can move forward better. So it's kind of the same thing when you're dealing with clients going through a divorce process. Once they just have that direction, they are in better control and they're easier for me to assist as well.
So it's never a straight path to where one starts and to where one ends up today. So in your particular case then, Krista, what inspired you to become a family law attorney? What's your story or winding path that you took?
My story is after law school, wanting to help individuals and families on a more personal level than maybe a corporate or real estate standpoint. And some of that information in those practice areas are still intertwined with the family law. I served as an assistant attorney general for the state of North Dakota for a period of years, working with families going through adoptions or daycare licensing or foster care cases, child abuse and neglect, and then made the transformation over to private practice, where I now continue to assist families in all facets of family law.
Okay, so that said then, Krista, can you share a lesson that you learned earlier on that still impacts how you do business today?
A lesson that I learned early on. Again, I think it just keeps going back to me being able to provide clients with some guidance and direction. I say it's not that I have some secret sauce as an attorney that no other attorney has, but we all have that information and that knowledge and that history to be able to better guide clients. So the more I can empower them to become educated and organized and just to know what their options are, I feel that that's what I'm trying to do in my practice as an attorney, is to help empower them to take control over their life. I say I would never, I don't think, be so arrogant as to tell people you have to settle on this or this is what's best for you. I always say this is so personal and these are your children. I don't know them and these are your finances. So they need to make those decisions, but I have to be able to give them the advice and the direction for them to make those decisions.
So what's the most important question that people should consider when they're looking to streamline their divorce process? I mean, the topic today is about the divorce software that you use within your company. If you could just expand a little bit on that and explain to people a little about your software and what it does and, the kinds of questions they should be asking themselves when they're actually considering their options for streamlining their divorce process. Certainly.
I say that I'm very risk averse and I'm not techie, so it's a pretty cruel fate that I developed divorce software. But after practicing law for 20 years, I've found that the more, again, direction you give clients and the more input and involvement that they can have in the process, the more at ease and the better they are able to move forward. I can't take the emotion out of the divorce process and the angst and the heartache, but I found that there were so many inefficiencies with the way we would practice law because there weren't tools out there that were available to clients. For example, the client would hand me their big bin of information, and I would do, or my legal assistant would do all the data entry. Now, you know what you have for a vehicle and checking accounts and personal property better than I do, but because you didn't have a tool to gather and input that information, you would hand your life over to me, and I would bill you to do data entry. So the software that I created allows, if the attorney wants to allow the client to be able to do this, the client can input all of their financial information, a budget, their assets and their debts. They can attach documents to support values. And I love it because after I send a client an invitation, I'll log in the next day and I'll see a client has added 200 assets and attached documents and started allocating who gets what. And when they can see how it all comes together, again, I think they have a better direction for where they want to go with their divorce. And it just saved me sometimes weeks until I can get to inputting that information. But we're on the same page. We're working off of the same platform. And then when I'm ready to send a proposal over to an opposing attorney, I can just publish it to the opposing attorney. Now, they already have all of the assets and debts that we built out. So they're not now billing their client a second time to do data entry of the same marital assets and debts. They can just copy that spreadsheet, and then they can make changes to it. So they can't zero out all the hard work that we've done, but they can work off of the same. You're working apples to apples now. They can work off of the same list of assets and debts, make changes, revisions, allocations, and then when they're ready, they can send a counter proposal back to us. And the software automatically redlines the changes that were made. So you can negotiate online through the software as well.
So for those people who are out there and they are considering their options for divorce, what final thoughts would you like to share with them before we finish up with our last question for today?
I think just for them to be educated and to really look around and explore what options are available to them. There are getting to be more and more options, whether it's a unbundling of legal services where they can have attorneys do bits and pieces of their divorce. There are quite a few self-help forums online, or whether there's software online that they want to utilize to help them go through the divorce process, make them more in control, and also have them save money in the process.
So there is an additional question that I just thought about, Krista. So what would be the most important thing for somebody who is considering evaluating? What's the most important thing they should keep in mind, rather, when they're considering evaluating a family law attorney?
I would say that it is the attorney's willingness to take the lead from the client. I find a lot of attorneys that want to do it a certain way and only their way, and ultimately they're almost making decisions for the client, which I don't think is healthy, or I don't think that's the best way to practice. As long as you advise the client, they can make a decision and settle on what they're comfortable settling on. So if you don't have an attorney that's willing to work with you and take your direction, I would try to steer away from that.
So if somebody feels that they do want to know more about streamlining their divorce process, then, Krista, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you, and what will actually happen when they do get in touch with you?
Certainly. They can go to our website. It's www.partus.com, and there is a contact us link on there. If they want to have any contact, they can get a demo on the software. They can ask questions about how it works. Again, we can't provide legal advice, and that's not what the software is doing either, but we could certainly walk them through how the software can assist them in their divorce and their attorney.
Okay, so the initial outreach is through the website. Is there a phone number that they can call, or is it just everything through the website?
Everything's through the website, but there is a phone number listed on the website as well.
Okay, fantastic. So if they do pick up the phone and call, what's going to happen? What I'm trying to achieve here, Krista, is you've shared a lot of great insights so far today. However, there still may be one or two people who are sat on the fence and thinking, sounds good, divorce software. Yeah, I like the sound of that. But Krista Andrews, I'm still not so sure. What's going to actually happen when I pick up the phone and give you a call? Are you going to hit me over the head with a Fred Flintstone club and drag me to the back of the office and make me buy everything under the sun? Just break it down so that people know exactly that there's absolutely zero risk to get in touch with you.
Certainly. They can give me a call, and I'll return the call generally within a day, and then I can just walk them through some of the highlights of what the software could do for them in their divorce. There's a free 3-month trial, so if they want, they can have their attorney set up a case, try it out, and there's no risk there. So they can certainly play around, see if that's something that they think would be helpful to them, and if not, there's no fee.
Fantastic. Thank you for clarifying that then, Krista. So we have come to the end of the show. The time has just flown by so quickly, and I just feel that we're beginning to touch the tip of the iceberg. And I'd also just like to add that even though, and I'm sure Krista will underpin this for me, even though we have been talking about streamlining divorce processes with software, it's still all about people. The software is just a tool, but it's still all about people who find themselves in this unfortunate position of facing divorce. And Krista, your tool is just trying to make that whole process, simpler, easier, less traumatic, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one other parting comment to leave you with is I have a friend who is an oncologist, a cancer doctor. And years ago, we were talking about what we had going on in our daily lives. And she looked at me and said, Krista, you have such a depressing job. And I thought,
wow.
You have a cancer doctor calling your job depressing. You hit a new low. And I said, I don't see my job as telling people to get a divorce and the marriage, but I see myself as trying to help them through that process as painfully as possible. So absolutely, that's just where this came from, is how can I help people that are going through such a difficult time in their life just to make it less painful.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have been listening to family law attorney Krista Andrews. Thank you so much for sharing so generously with us today, Krista. You have certainly demonstrated that you are a true educator, advocate, and trustworthy advisor for your client's success. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Stuart. I appreciate your time.
You are so welcome, my dear. And I'd also like to take a moment to say a big thank you to you. Yes, if you are out there in the Fargo, North Dakota area and you've been listening today, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to come and join this insightful and informative discussion with one of the top family law attorneys in Fargo, North Dakota. Again, her name is Krista Andrews. Make sure you do check her out. Again, she's got some great resources on her website, and there's also contact details on there. Give her a call. You've heard you're going to be safe. It's okay to call Krista. You're going to be in good hands no matter what you decide to do. So folks, that's it for today. My name is Stuart Andrew Alexander, and we'll be back shortly with some more leading divorce professionals in this, our series of Let's Talk Divorce Conversations. So until then, take care, have a great day, and we'll talk real soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Impact Makers Radio. To listen to all past, present, and future industry thought leaders and trendsetters, visit us at impactmakersradio.com.